Welcome to Nike Pod Sessions. I'm your host, James Buford. Join us as we talk with Nike creatives about why they did it, what they did, and what inspires them to keep doing it here on Nike Pod Sessions. Today's guest is Elizabeth Guise, product to license, designer too.
I'm Elizabeth Guise. I'm a designer at Nike. Love what I do. I'm a whole human being, so I have a life outside of Nike too.
So, how did you even get to Nike? Well, actually, how long have you been at Nike?
Including, there's a lot of people who've been an ETW at Nike. So I myself have been an ETW for over a year. And I've had two separate sort of lives with Nike. So I have previous experience. So if I were speaking to how close am I to another sabbatical, I've been with the company for 13 and a half years. But if I'm going to incorporate everything else, it would be 14, almost 15 years.
Wow. And so you've seen the campus change, you've seen the format change and teams change and people change, and you've been there. And
I definitely have heard there was a big change prior to me coming on board, but yes, since then I've seen the new Nike, what people know as Nike today. I've seen that shift.
Wow. So 2005, 6, right? Like
2007 was my rehire. Yes.
Okay. So you're like, are you fresh out of school? Have you had design experience at that time? Like, what was your mindset?
I was a combination. I actually had the good fortune of being with several companies for very short stints who went through reorgs, who then I was reorged out of. So I actually had a few years, including Nike, of prior experience. So another department within Nike, I worked at Hannah Anderson, so children's wear, for a little while, and then Eddie Bauer.
Oh, Eddie Bauer.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wore a lot of Eddie Bauer growing up. That was like my mom's like clothing that she always wanted me in. For some reason, it was like Eddie Bauer was the brand. And chaps and Eddie Bauers. Oh my God. So tell me about like Eddie Bauer. What was that like?
Eddie Bauer was a great experience because I came in there thinking I was working on this certain type of product, and they're like, just kidding, we need you to work on all of this product. So I was like, whoa, I basically worked on almost all of the women's product, and they launched denim while I was there. They launched swim while I was there. They had just had a resurgence, right? So they just came out of Chapter 11, leaving Spiegel, and were coming into their own again. It was another great Pacific Northwest company. They were renting space from Microsoft, and then we were in the process of building their own building in Bellevue. So, I mean, they were really coming into their own. And I felt like evolving from that traditional, like my mom made me wear these, to like maybe kind of like evolving from their Abercrombie and Finch, because they were their own. They were together and then went their own ways.
I didn't know that. So
I think at some point they had a relationship with Abercrombie and Finch.
Wow. I wouldn't even put those two brands together. Like, I mean, just looking at how they advertise and the customer.
Don't quote me, but I definitely feel like Eddie Bauer separated and stayed that traditional sort of sportsman apparel, and then Abercrombie and Fitch went to that sort of leisure wear sort of thing.
Yeah. And would you say was it like a big team over there, or were you, because you said you were working on everything, so was it just like a small team?
It was a pretty small team. They were rebuilding. They had just literally the day that I had my first day was the week after they had removed the entire home organization. So they all of the home went to like, what's it called, licensed stuff. So there was an entire department that was just empty. They'd all been let go. And it was these mixed feeling. Like I could sense how challenging that was for everybody to be going through these growing pains at that time. So I
Yeah.
was super excited and motivated to be moving into this company that I had a kind of a relationship with a parent who was like, this is great product. And, their quality was always something you strive for. So to get in to be a part of it was very exciting. They just hired a new VP of design that came from Tommy Hilfiger. I mean, they were like
Yeah, they
on
were
their way.
taking off. Were you living in the Pacific Northwest at the time, or
Mm-hmm.
and then you weren't relocating for this like opportunity?
Well, I guess I was because they are in the Seattle area. I was born
Okay.
and raised in the Portland area.
Okay. Yeah. So you're a few hours you're moving a few hours away from home and like
Lots of train rides. The train was the way that I would travel with my son was young at the time. He was 3.
okay.
So he loved to ride the train. And it was great for me to not have to lock him up in a car seat for 3 hours each way to just come back and visit the family and lots of time on
Yeah.
the train.
That's a good ride. Like I've done the Portland to Seattle. Good a good
Yep.
view, like view wise, it's like beautiful, and
Yep.
then
Super.
it's not a long one, which is nice.
Yeah,
So
it's equivalent to the drive, which was
yeah.
amazing. And then I could even, where we would live, I grew up in Hillsborough, so we could even go from the train, the Amtrak train to the Max train, and then get picked up my parents, and it was great. We came back almost sometimes a couple times a month just to spend the weekend at home. And I was actually pregnant as well at the time, so
Yeah.
just kind of getting to keep the connection I had with my family while expanding my view in
Right.
the world.
Yeah. The weather is pretty much the same, I'd say. Like, Portland probably has a little bit more rain, but like generally those trips from what I remember were like really nice. And there's a lot of good history in Seattle too, like the art museum and the pier, or that kind of like fish market.
For
Um,
sure.
After Eddie Bauer, or how did that transition happen?
I relocated back to the Portland area, and that there was a moment where I was like, I need to reevaluate, like going from, it's like what's next in my career, taking a moment to be with my family as that was developing as well. So I took some time off, and I was just like, what's next? What does this look like? And when I was ready to get back out to work, I was like, I don't even know where to start in Portland. Like even in the short time from when I was in school, and it was short, it was maybe like 3 years from school to like a couple of these small jobs, then to Seattle and home, more businesses had come. Like Portland is sort of like all of a sudden people want to move to the Pacific Northwest, and there's more apparel here than there ever has been. And a lot of it people know is sportswear. So I wasn't quite sure. It was so really overwhelming for me. And it's like I didn't quite have the same resources at school to kind of help. So I was like, I'll just go to a temp agency. Like what's out there? What does somebody else have in mind with the skills that I have, that if I were to just kind of take it away and say, where do you see me?
Yeah. Was
And
that in Portland? That temp the
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So I,
So
I met with a temp agency, and they're like, you have a great portfolio. Let's put you in mind for a couple positions we have. I was great experience to get to interview in several places and to kind of go through what it looks like to go through a portfolio. And back then, it seems so weird because it wasn't even that long ago, but back then it's like you bring in a portfolio and you turn through pages and you walk them through a story. There's like no digital portion of that.
yeah.
So to kind of go through that several times, and then ultimately I had the good opportunity to meet with somebody who's no longer with Nike, but then who reached out, and that was my first contract back into Nike.
Yeah. So you're lugging around this portfolio case,
Yeah,
just like I remember that, like just having a portfolio, which is weird. Like
I
you're
still have it.
you're you're thinking about like the paper and like the acetate, and you're like, oh, is this quality nice? And like then
Yes.
when you really get into it, you want to have like swatches and like show people that you're like it's so funny to just think about how much work was spent on portfolios versus the actual work. Like like I mean, in a portfolio you'd show like maybe one or two pieces back then, because it was
Mhm.
like, but now I mean, how do you feel like it differs from, like, how would you even show your work now, like, you
Oh,
know
the idea that you can even have a video, like you can show your work in motion, especially in the active sportswear sort of field, right? Having video and being able to just turn these levers that begin a story with a concept and then layer in like all of the detail that goes into it, and then your sketches, and then finish with like video. And it's a completely new world.
Yeah. So when you came to Nike, I mean, just coming from like Eddie Bauer, what do you feel like that transition was different just because of the clothing style and the company style, and one of Nike's so established, like what was that like?
What's interesting is that I think about this a lot. It's like I went to school in Portland. I was very lucky to have met my husband early on in my college career, and he was we both went to an art school, and then he was on like a digital path, and then I was on fashion and apparel path. And I remember wanting to relate to him and taking more like Illustrator courses and Photoshop courses. So I was actually leaving some electives in couture sewing techniques and that kind of stuff to then adopt these more technical programs and learn more technical side, just so that I could relate to him and see what he was doing. It appealed to me quite a bit. My mom has always been very early adopter in technology. So I was like, keep this momentum going. Like, where can this take us as a tool in our industry when it was really sort of a little bit untapped at the time? And that's actually what got me into Eddie Bauer, is that I was able to they were hand drawing all of their technical illustrations. So they brought me on board because of my knowledge of the technical programs and being able to create vector art.
Would you say that that was like the turning point for a lot of fashion apparel companies, like when '07, as like the computer was starting to become like the tool versus sketches? And
For sure. Like
yeah,
we were literally faxing our PR kits to the liaison office in Asia at Eddie Bauer.
that's
And I
that's
don't know if
crazy.
part of it was like the catch up from going from, another company to coming into their own, and, just everybody, there's this windows of time where you just like, we're in it right now with Chloe and moving into like that 40 world. 5-6 years from now, we're gonna be like, oh my god, back, remember when we used to draw every line in Illustrator? I mean, this is it. I was like,
I never thought we'd get to that point where like I really thought vector was it. So this is mind blowing.
100%. So in a lot of ways, just getting to share that knowledge with that company and to watch them grow through having somebody new who just gone through school, who took advantage of some of these opportunities. Again, moving back to Portland's so technical. Just having that in my back pocket was huge. So even just pursuing this level of knowledge and embracing it early on has been nothing but a huge catalyst for my career. So coming into Nike, same thing. It's like, how are we using this technology? How can we dig into it a little deeper, have these relationships with outside sources?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit, or you touched on your mom being a adopter of technology.
Oh, heck yeah.
Is like what? How so? What was? Tell me a little bit about that.
My, it's interesting because it's a completely different industry. My mom was actually in medical records, computerized medical records, right? So
Wow.
transcription,
Yeah.
which seems so like, you just like a secretary or like a whatever. You just you type what a doctor says, but she took that industry, she created her own business and made it something. She was so advanced and so ahead of her time. People are now, what we're going through right now, she was doing by choice in the late 80s.
Wow.
Her model was to train and provide workstations and information to people at home to be able to work from home 100%. And then in addition to that, moving an industry faster, where it went from like, I remember early on when I helped her with the business, they would type out all of the records, print them, and deliver them back to the medical offices.
Oh my goodness.
And then moving that transcription even further through, internet security and through all of this software to then be able to encrypt and send this data back to them and have all this digital model. So, I mean, again, back in the late 80s, early 90s, she's moving to this model to advance an industry.
This is just medical records, right? Like this
Mm-hmm.
is people's information.
Yep.
That's nuts. And
I
it's
know.
like even the idea to, I mean, that it takes a certain type of brain to like say like we can do this more efficiently, or we can utilize this technology to speed up the process. Because a lot of people, they would have been okay with the scanning, the documents to Asia, or typing everything up and hand delivering. So it takes a certain person to really not only adopt but
Yeah.
push the
Evolve an
needle.
industry. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's amazing that you were able to be at, you're at the turning point of fashion. You're witnessing your mom being at the turning point of the medical industry and
Yeah.
documenting records. Um, so
But there were
how,
other things. Like
yeah.
I remember, I mean, our first computer, like getting our first computer. My mom was such an early adopter. We have a brick phone, like the original cell phone. Just like,
Is it a Nokia? Is it, or
oh
which
yeah,
one? Is it I mean, because that was my first phone was a Nokia, and it was like a brick. It was
huge.
like if you sat down, you're like, oh, I just sat on my, like, it's in your pocket.
No, I
Um,
mean like the brick, the literal like takes two hands to hold it up to your
oh,
ear.
you're talking about the
OG.
yeah, wow, that's like the ones that used to like come with the case. Like people used to have them
Even
in their cars.
the corded cell phones, the car phones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's man. And I mean the time span is less than 20 years that all that has
Yep.
happened. Um, and it's funny when you're in it, when you're in the change, you're not seeing how fast you're moving. But now that I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, the first cell phone or portable phones was less than 20 years. So you think about what the next 20 years, how do you think the next 20 years is gonna, or are there things that you see now that are happening? And this could be in anything. This could be in food, this could be in television and film. And
I love the idea. I now have a child. I put a child out into the world who is advancing, right? So it's like I've gone from like early adopter for my mom and then gaining these insights and putting it into the industry that I am, and then encouraging these behaviors and getting to have that joy that comes from this early adoption from my mom who shares this with my son who's going out there into electrical engineering, the VR and virtually connecting into a world. And what does that mean? We talk a lot about what's the next level of this to make VR bigger. Like I'm a huge science fiction fan as well. Like that, I think those kind of go hand in hand, right? The early
yeah,
adoption and just like you kind of already saw this in a world and wanted to be in this world, and here it is. So holodecks,
yeah,
interacting with other things, like
yep.
yeah, like
What's
what does
what's
this mean for an industry? I mean, we still need tactile, we still wear our garments, we still interact with the world around us, but that augmented reality, that virtual reality, what is that?
Yeah. What's your, when you talk about like virtual reality and science fiction, what are you actually I find that there's two type of science fictions. There's
Ooh,
people who love film science fiction, and then there's book science fiction. Are you which or maybe both, but which where do you lean?
I'm both.
Yeah. Are you the type of person who's like, I'm gonna read the book first and then the film needs to be accurate, or is it vice versa? Do you have to read the book first?
Nope.
No.
I feel like they're two completely this is what's beautiful about the world, right? Is they're two completely separate things. The book was written for you to imagine. So the book is always going to be better. It's how you imagine it. But then the film is through the lens of somebody's vision. And I really try to adopt and listen and appreciate this person's vision. I may have a difference of opinion, but at the same time, this is where it's like that's what rooted me as a designer. Is like initially I was like, I love the idea that I'm reading these things and I can make this in my head and then I can make it in real life.
Yeah.
I can make the vision. I can be a
Yeah.
part of this vision. But
That's
they're definitely two fully separate places for.
I like the way that you explain that the book is for imagination and then seeing the visual is someone else's interpretation,
Yeah.
which it just those two things are really interesting because it's like how we when you think about how we get influenced and how we get inspired, some people are they use their own brain, and then some people are more like they need to be in it and they need to be doing it and a part of it to kind of be inspired by it.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you say you are, or how do you get inspired even?
I think it's both. If I'm if I'm looking at something, concepts, textures really inspire me. I struggle with color. Color, I feel like, is too confining. So it's like concept and texture. Those inspire me and they open the doors. But then also at the same time, it's like I can get a brief and I can say, I see where you're going here. Pass the baton. I'm gonna finish this up. I'm gonna give it back to you, and then we'll collaborate on this. So it's like I don't.
Yeah.
That's difficult to say.
Because like like when what we do, we're dealing with athletes, and it's hard to design for something you've never played, or or it's hard to like design a bathing suit if you've never swam. So it's like, do you feel like, because some people say, hey, it's not, some people say, oh, I understand a swimsuit. What do you feel like you need to do it to create it or be a part of it, or?
Thank goodness no, because I've worked on a lot of product. I've had the pleasure to work on a lot of product in fields and sports that I've never actually participated in.
Yeah.
So from this lens, thank you for clarifying this. From this lens, there's a part of me who always appreciates somebody who doesn't know the parameters, right? Because you get to kind of break down those walls and think about it in a different way. So ultimately for me, the human body is just an amazing machine. And we're all kind of similar, but we're all very different. And the way we use the machine we're given creates power. And that's how I design like in a sportswear sort of lens. Like when you give me a sport, you do, there's, because even within a sport, different positions use their machine differently. So it's like, how do we help them?
Yeah.
And that's when you get into the relationship. That's when concepts, textures, and ideas come in, because you begin to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And
You're
then
elevating.
Transitions into a brief, and then it's like it's just a relationship.
Yeah, it's like this elevation of like, you have the foundation and the starting point, but then because of that, like not knowing, you're able to like pick something up and be like, this looks like it's for this, but you could be completely wrong. But it's nice to kind of be wrong in that space and be like, well, now we've created something new. Like,
Yes.
maybe we're not entirely wrong. In terms of your experience at Nike, are there, and outside of Nike, are there moments where you've unintentionally discovered a way of doing something that was like, I didn't mean to do that, but I feel like I've got something new there?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, there's always little aha moments, right, that come up, how to simplify, because I mean, oftentimes it's like we spend a lot of time on design, but it's the process that brings it to life. Ultimately, that is the thing that we can kind of innovate on, sometimes more or in conjunction with product.
It doesn't have to be with, it could be like, for me, it's food. Like, I'm always inventing, like, I'm always like throwing the wrong thing and then just being like, okay, well, that's the way I'm doing it now.
Okay. Yeah. So
You know?
outside of, in the world of things, man, I'm very lucky to have many siblings, all of which are incredibly talented and have their own. I have one of my sisters is a chef. I don't usually dabble in the food thing. I leave that to her if I need something special.
How many siblings?
I have three. I have three sisters.
And where do you fall?
I'm 3 of 4.
Okay. Oh, I got it. I got you. Three or
So I
four.
have two older sisters and one younger
Yes, one
sister.
young. Yeah. Wow. Wait, so all girls?
Hmm.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
there's. So how is that? I mean, I have two sisters, but always wanted a brother around. So I don't know what was it like. Did you ever want a brother, or were you like loved being in a house full of girls?
I never even knew what a brother was. Like the idea, even now, I'm like, what's a brother? Like, what does that feel like?
Someone who beats people up when they're mean to their sister.
I had plenty of sisters. I had a sister that was a pincher. I had a sister that was a, I'm going to lock you out of our room.
Okay. So
No, I had all the,
you guys were a gang. You guys looked out for each other.
it's interesting because it's like my older siblings and I were all 3 years apart. So it was like the older siblings, they sort of like, we were separated into two groups. They were sort of like a group. And then me and my younger sibling, we were 13 months apart. We were sort of a group. We were the babies. So it's like we sort of had this relationship there. And then as we grew older, we broke that. So it's me and my middle sister who usually communicate quite a bit, and my oldest and my youngest who kind of have many similarities and communicate. And it's
That's
interesting the way
interesting.
our dynamics have shifted from sharing bedrooms
Yeah.
to then, sharing friendships. And then when we all come together as four, it's completely different. I really enjoy, my mom has always encouraged and pushed that we maintain this level of family, right?
Yeah.
To
Like
keep that
connection.
bond. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We
That's
all live
definitely.
in the same basic in here. We're all a couple miles apart from each other. But yeah, my youngest sister, she was actually inspired and went to work with my dad, who was in sheet metal. This was sort of where I get into my technical stuff. My dad being in sheet metal, he did pattern making and stuff in sheet metal. And that's when, and then my mom was always crafting and creating. Like she made a lot of our clothes growing up. And then
Yeah.
just being able to put the technical side of it together, but then the movement, that's what really inspires, right? So
Yeah.
how a human moves, how a human breathes.
Do you think like that kind of hands-on? I mean, it seems like that both parents have it, but do you feel like the technical side, earlier when you were talking about your mom adopting technology, would you say that your dad is similar, or is he more like hands-on and like into the how it's made
He was
versus
definitely hands-on.
yeah.
I mean, he would pattern on the sheet metal and then cut and bend and
Yeah.
construct.
So
Very much.
not is what did he ever get into like the CAD side of things or like machine cutting type? It was always
Mhm. Yeah, at some point he did, and then he's just like, this isn't for me. And not
yeah,
in a way that was like, it doesn't belong in a world, but in a way that is like, somebody else is going to take this to a level I can't give it.
yeah,
So I want to continue creating this amazing work the way that I do it.
yeah. And I think there's something to be said about that. Just knowing as we get older, knowing um, what knowledge is to be handed down, and then when when we kind of have to like sit back and let the young people do it, or the ones, and it's more of an energy thing too, because it's like it's not to say that we can't. It's more of like we don't have the passion to really like there. I think there's been things where I'm just like, oh man, I wish I was coming up right now because I'd have energy for that, but I don't really, like, are there times where you feel like, or things that you feel that way about, where you're just like, yeah, like I kind of know what I do well. I'm not going to dabble over there.
I suppose, but I guess they happen so naturally. I don't think about when I'm sort of leaving to the brighter or those who are ready to give it energy. That's a
Yeah.
really good question.
Because I mean, even as a parent, right? Like there's always, they say there's an age where your kids start teaching you and you stop teaching them. And it's like a vulnerable moment like, and it's not one time, but it's like it just starts happening more and
Hmm.
more as you get older and they're getting older, and you're kind of like you're looking to them for the, they'll always be your baby, but you're
Yeah.
looking to them for your like, you're like, oh well, what are the kids doing now, like what are the young people, what do you think, like,
Yeah.
are you
That's
feeling that?
Oh, for sure. Just the way that education works now is completely different than how education worked when I was in school. So not only am I supporting children learning this new right, so it's like computers can do all this stuff, like you don't necessarily need to learn it the way a computer's going to do it. You need to learn it so that you can explain what the computer's doing. And this is a new outlook on education. This is a new outlook. Like computers have been doing or calculators have been doing this math for us for a really long time. We don't need you to learn the math anymore. Calculators are adopted. Nobody's saying do this by hand anymore. I mean, you need to know it. You're in the grocery store, you don't have you need to know math, right?
Yes.
But then these other more complex equations, like there's resources in the world.
Hmm.
I think the one that hasn't caught up is spelling. This is one where it's like, we need to spell. We can't rely on spell check. But
Oh,
math is sort of already evolved and adopted. And so it's like you hear it's in even now, like movies, like Incredibles 2. Like he's learning math. You can't change math. And it's like, but they're not changing math. They're changing how they're teaching math. And
yeah.
that's it. That's when you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to communicate with my child how to do this math because they need to digest and give the information differently than I was learned to digest it and present it.
Yeah, I
So,
had like a really interesting conversation with my wife like a few days ago about spelling. And it's funny that you mentioned, and you were like, no, you got to know how to spell. Like when you said that, I was just like, that's what I was saying. Like young people right now, they're creating new words. They're doing so many things. There's so many levels to this. They're creating new words. They're creating new words from words that aren't real, and then they're creating like memes and like shortened words of words,
emojis.
like or just like be right back, BRB, and then it gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and then you look at a text from a kid and you're just like, I don't know what that means, like that's just a bunch of, and it's like unless you know the like codes and the ins
Code
and
is
outs,
exactly the right
it's
word.
it's a code.
It's so
So
funny. I just went to a virtual baby shower and the game was here's these emojis and then you tell me what the emojis phrase is.
yeah.
And it was you could tell that the younger group were really identifying and understanding this emoji language. And somebody's like, oh, it's Morse code. And I was like, no, it's the new millennium's Morse code, like emojis. We're going, and it's funny, like, right, we started with visual picture language.
Yeah.
We evolve into this very precise written language. And now we're sort of finding this happy middle ground where people can express. And there's room for the traditional and there's room for the advancement and somewhere in between.
Yeah. Do you
It's
feel like
just
that's a
art.
slippery slope though? Like, do you feel like it's dangerous? Because think about it. Think about like how young people relate and how they learn from each other. And if one kid is stronger in spelling and one kid is not, then they may lean heavily on this kind of like coded language. And no one will ever no, like no one will ever know. They won't ever have to like kind of get regular, language under their belt. They'll just live in this kind of coded area.
I have mixed feelings about this because I don't talk about this quite a bit, but I do have a learning disability. So it is a part of me that I can't do the same level of work as those around me because of this way that my brain works. My husband is incredibly brilliant. His mind works faster and stronger than mine ever will. But out when we were in elementary school, this would have been a divide. But
Yeah.
in living in the world, there's this harmony. And then I'm blessed to have two children, one that has a mind very similar to my husband and one that has a mind very similar to myself. And as I'm looking at them going through this at a young age, and then and I'm just like, but in context, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm in the world and I'm successful, or I feel successful. I feel like I'm meeting my goals and where I want to be. And it's like, I don't want to put this on this generation, right? There's almost
Totally.
a little part of me, it's like if you dig into at some level like classism, I mean, some of these are sort of bigger issues, right? Like, what is the core of education? Like, having had kids that go through education, like, what do these elementary school numbers mean? Like, if it's high rated, what does that mean? And when you break it down, it's sort of like they test well. And I was like, well,
Yeah, according to
my
who
kids are equally
what.
brilliant, but one is always going to test better than the other. So what does this mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean. There's room for both. So ultimately,
Yes.
we need to evolve into how do we capture the what this means as we move into the world. Like, even now, we're kind of stuck in this pandemic where we're not able to do the same testing and the same model of education that we've had. So faster than we've ever had to, we need to adopt to, like, what
Model.
are we capable of? How do we manage education and equalize, so to speak, outside of resources and classism and embrace?
Yeah. And I have a learning disability as well. Like, and it's I mean, I don't even like saying disability because
Yeah, because it's a rough. I choked on it too.
it is the reason why I am able to do what I do is because of it. So we spoke earlier about you said you love when people kind of don't know the parameters, right? And it's like I think the way that creatives think and the way that I think and that kind of is me. It's like I don't understand the parameters, therefore I've exceeded them. And a lot of people would say, well, you don't test well, but it's like the test is just parameters. But the only way we exceed it is by not knowing the parameters, or knowing the parameters, but knowing we can move beyond them. So I think sometimes people with quote unquote disability, they don't know the parameters. So they exceed them way quicker than someone who might be held down by quote unquote math or quote
Yes.
unquote words, right? Because you know, creating new words takes imagination, right? So maybe this generation will be the best communicators the human race has ever seen, right? In all these
Mhm.
different ways.
And
Yeah,
and we
that's
have to get there, because ultimately, there's no, again, we're going to lean back heavily on my science fiction here. We
yeah,
don't have universal communicators, right? And we don't have the ability to learn language as quickly as we want to communicate globally. And ultimately, outside of, politics, like, our world has become bigger than it's ever been. And it's
totally.
just like, as time progresses, if we don't get to take advantage of having some sort of global outlook on things, and then what's the fastest way to get us to communicate? Emojis, right? Like, pictures are going to get us there until we can communicate through language,
And
or
and
have those resources and those talented people who do learn language very quickly.
totally. And being able to communicate with people who may not speak the same language as you. I think this generation is probably the most internet without traveling. They are the most world traveled, which is amazing. Like they can go online, they can be exposed to different, YouTube videos in different
Yep.
languages.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually a little bit bummed that what we don't have right now in our schools is an opportunity for more kids to take a moment to go to an international school. Like, if everybody's online, why can't myself or my children go to a school in Japan and
That's
just, like,
brilliant.
listen to that kind of, like, we have the opportunity to be so much more integrated than ever. We're kind of missing an opportunity. And maybe there are some people who've tapped into it, but ultimately, I mean, outside of not a language barrier, that I have found that the transcription stuff has been working really
Oh,
well in
yes.
Zoom. So I'm
Yes.
like, is there a transcription plus
Yeah, like a universal translate.
Yeah,
Like,
so I mean, it's just like we're kind of missing an opportunity for more people to fully go to a, don't just go to a Spanish immersion school, go to school in Mexico or Spain.
yeah, yeah, and or even, I mean, now you got me thinking about all these, like, you know, something as simple as art class. Like, you know, imagine just a kid being like, yeah, I took a Japanese art class this morning with a bunch of first graders, and you know, half of the class is a teacher teaching the Japanese kids, and then half of the class is the Japanese teacher teaching the, you know, American kids. And think
Mhm.
about the artwork like that they would come away with, like, or the appreciation for how other kids are thinking in other parts of the world.
And if
Yeah,
we layer this into like politics and yeah,
that could be amazing. There'll be some really cool fridge drawings in Japan, right? Like, wow.
I
I
know
lost
how
I
it
lost
could
my
be.
my track of thought.
I know, and this goes
Because
into like you kind of come into these bounds, like learning that this technology is key, and then it's like I have no idea how to make something like that to come together, but I know that I'm not in the number of people on the planet, I'm not the only one who thought this. So it's like somebody
totally.
who's going to jump on. So I guess this is an idea that I'd be like, I'm going to put this aside because somebody who's brilliant and amazing and has some existing stuff is going to make this happen. I'm
Yeah.
going to focus on continuing being amazing where I'm at and know that this is coming and fully invest in what that future looks like.
I truly believe that just saying it, and us conversing about it will is already bringing it into fruition. So, like, I had so I have these moments where, like, I'm using technology. So lately I've been just using the Apple remote, and like I'll speak to the remote, and then I'm talking to Alexa on this, and I'm like, and then I go into the kitchen and I'm like, man, I just wish I could talk to the stove. Like, there's these parts of my brain where I'm just like, wait, the stove's not there yet, but like speakers are there, and I can talk to my TV, but I can't talk to my toilet yet. Like, you know, like my brain is just like, when can I talk to everything?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any moments where you're just like, I'm currently doing this manually, but I wish I could just talk to this thing?
Oh, anything cooking. Anything cooking. I'm everybody's like, what would be the first if you the context of this though is like if you could afford anything in the world, what would be the first thing you would buy? And I'm like, a personal chef. Because I don't like to cook. I don't like to go to the grocery store. It takes a lot of time, but it is something I need in my life every day. And I don't like to buy, freezer meals. Plus I know I'm raising children and they have to learn to cook and they have to learn to, find a place in their life to do this five or
Yeah.
six times a day and give their body, the machine, the nutrients it needs to keep working, right? But it's like that's always anything that is going to make cooking nutritious and automated.
Yes.
I want in my life,
Same.
as well as gutter cleaning. If I'm being completely honest, something else, some other machine, I can be like, gutters, time to clean.
It's out there. I'm sure some weirdo is in his garage right now talking about, I got it. I got it. You
What
just
about
have
you
to.
though?
Uh,
What's your
I mean, more recently, it's been like, I guess it's probably been a lot of kitchen stuff, um, mainly because we're working from home and we're like, I don't want to cook anything right now. Or what's the fast? I'm always like, what's the fastest thing? I enjoy cooking, by the way, but I'm always like, what's the fastest thing I can make?
in a time frame when you're
Yeah,
working? Yeah.
yeah. It's more about like time. So I mean, groceries are kind of coming to us now, right?
Yeah.
Like we got like Amazon deliver. Like there are these like moments, but then I'm just like, there's a side of me that's saying like, am I losing human interaction? Am I like, shouldn't I be doing these things? You
Yeah.
know, like
I
I
like
don't.
I like the things, yes, that don't. So for me, another one is like transportation. I drive alone, but I love the idea that cars now can drive themselves home. Like my husband and I could share a car
Yeah,
because I could drive it to work, it could drive home, he could go to work, and then it could be home, and then we don't need a parking lot. I like
yeah,
the solutions that eliminate things that take up space we don't need. Like how if you think about how much of the US is parking lots, I mean, mass transportation is amazing. I always utilize the max. I only live 2.5 miles from campus. So they're usually on fair weather days, I would ride my bike. So it's like anything that removes something that takes up space that's not necessary. I'm all about
Yeah.
evolving. And in this virtual world, like I feel like I'm still connected. We're here, but the physical part of our jobs I miss. The
Yeah.
sample reviews and
This is like a weird one because it's like it's more efficient. It's more of like about efficiency and not automation, but it's like lately I've been wanting to watch all these different shows on different networks that I might not be subscribed to. And I'm just like, can't I just trade passwords? But so like I have this idea of like this company that you like either it's like I know that people do family, like you can share family passwords and do that type of stuff, but like is there an opportunity to like share networks amongst
yeah,
people where it's
I
just
like
like
that. Almost like a
like
timeshare, like every month you can have a different service or rotate or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, but you're not it's not like
you don't have to
you're
be a part of it.
taking you're not like taking money from the company. It would be incentivized by the company because it's like overall they'd get more viewers or more people would interact. It's just that like maybe I want to watch HBO just for like the next 2 hours, and somehow I'm trading 2 hours of my Netflix with someone else, but it's like literally one for one, like 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
however long, and you have like a point system or something where it's like, oh, I've if I watch any more HBO, I've gone over my HBO. Now I'm gonna have to start paying, you know.
This is a genius thing. I think about this a lot. So I had a problem with this with cable. Like the sports I wanted to watch were not year round. I didn't want to pay hundreds of dollars to only watch sport, like the Olympics. Let's just say the Olympics. It's like that happens every 4 years, but I have to buy cable and everything to watch. I'm like, where's my just, I want an Olympic subscription.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Just a few a month. I don't know how long the Olympics. It's like usually like a month or something, right? Or
And 2 weeks
few.
each. Yeah.
Just a little bit. It's like the TV share.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we kind of went down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
but
And
so
a good one.
yeah, yeah. I feel like we're gonna have to do a part two with you. There's so many things I haven't gotten to. I want to know about like schooling, where you grew up. So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna end this with what one last question, and then we're gonna do a part two
Okay.
about early Elizabeth life.
I didn't think I was this interesting, but cool.
Well, I mean, early Elizabeth life, school, how you got into design. I mean, how you grew up, what was Portland like. There's a whole hodgepodge there. I want to know about your children, what they're into, like all that. So, I think my last question to you is, um, what are you doing since we're all in quarantine and obviously our lives are different for each of us? Um, what are you doing for yourself? What are when you're taking that time out? What are the types of things that you're doing to like kind of just put you in that calm space?
I'm gonna be fully honest here. I am so uptight. I haven't even gotten there yet. We've been in quarantine for almost a year and I haven't found it.
That's okay. I'm prompting it now, so it's coming, right? Like it's gonna happen now. Now it's on your mind.
It's definitely getting there. I mean, I've always been sort of a homebody, so just my nature is to be sort of near the home. So I guess I could say that I've spent a lot more time making our home feel more like a thought out home, like thinking more about, we've sort of been in our home for over 10 years now, and that's sort of like the cycle where you're just like, does all this stuff we've done really work? So just like re-looking at that, thinking about those projects that are coming up, like making our exterior living spaces feel more incorporated with interior. So finishing a backyard and making it comfortable,
Yeah.
or looking at the furniture and the rugs around our home and just transitioning through that. So just, I think that's something that is outside of my nature because I fashion for me is faster. I'm like, do I have to make this decision for like 10 years? Just one
Yeah.
day. I'm used to just making this decision for a day, or but for 10 years, whoa. So it's just like coming to terms and like organizing my brain and thought process on thinking longer term in terms of home.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to be put to answer the question, but for the most part.
Yeah. Did that come out of you just being, is that from just being home? Is that kind of every day you're like, what is this box? Like, why is it even here? Like, what is, because for me, I've been just getting rid of things that I either don't need, maybe purchasing things that I do need. Like, it's been there all along, but you just never really looked at it.
Yeah.
And now you're like, you're here every day. What are you?
Yeah. Yeah, yes, for sure. For myself, I mean, again, it's interesting that this work from home model is so new to a lot of people, but my husband's been working from home for 16 years.
Wow.
Like that's it. He's always gone to work down the hall, right? So even then, it's like we sort of had this idea of that he needs a space in our home that's an office, and over the course of 10 years, we've adjusted our home to that, and then this just meant we needed 2 more of those spaces, and finalizing those thoughts and getting it there. But it's interesting because I reflect on quite a bit that being a homebody and then having a spouse that has always worked from home, like this is just sort of our lifestyle. So having a child and myself lean into it, it just
sounds
nice. An existing model.
Yeah. I like the way you said that. Existing model. We've been doing this whole thing. Like, you gotta take notes. Like,
I know exactly. Or do we look around? We're like, wait, this isn't that hard. We've been doing it forever. Balancing childcare and working from home.
We wrote the book on quarantine. Yes, we knew it was coming. Yeah, this is great. Like I said, part 2. We'll be more organized next time. I feel like you had such good ideas, and I was like, no, let's just talk about this kitchen and these appliances that do what we want. Like,
yes, make them happen.
Yeah, we're gonna make this TV share thing happen. Nobody, even if you don't have a TV, you'll have passwords. We're gonna make sure that everyone can watch whatever they want, whenever they want.
And be international education.
Exactly. We're going to take art classes in Japan. I'll probably Zoom in, even though I'm not in first grade. I'll just find a Zoom class, bunch of first graders in Japan, so I can do some drawing as well.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, universal world. This was great. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
This concludes episode 4. Join us next week when we talk to Jessica Thornton, Nike Apparel, PTL Advanced Chassis Creation Designer. Thank you for listening.